You all ready for my live commentary on this shit show? Oh, this is going to be fun. Okay. So, as you probably know, the People's Party is crumbling again under an investigation into Nick Brana that apparently has credible allegations of sexual harassment that he did to a woman that was subordinate to him. And because he was being investigated, he shit canned I think it was five board members. So let's do my react video to this. This will be fun.
Co-founder of the People's Party, a new political party set to shake up America's broken political system. He helped organize Occupy Congress and an ongoing action on Capitol Hill. Please welcome Nick Brana. Hi, Nick. Good to see you.
Hey, Jimmy. Good to see you. And thank you, by the way, for making everyone at the People's Party watch your segments on mandates and the social credit system that it's leading to with Max. A lot of people need to see that.
Okay, fantastic. Having you on today, Nick, because there's been some accusations leveled at you. Now, you know how it goes. When you get to the left of the Democratic Party, there's a playbook on how to take you down. Now, so you've been accused by people of a kind of sexual harassment, right? Is that correct? Can you tell me what's going on?
That's right. This is a part of this. I mean, this is the playbook that's done, essentially. We've seen it with Julian Assange. We've seen it with the New York mayoral candidate, Shahid Buttar. This is done. You warned me. Lee Camp warned me. So many people have warned me that this eventually happens if you challenge the establishment long enough.
Wow. Okay. 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 That's very interesting compared to, each of these stories are different in their own ways. Julian Assange was cleared, from what I remember reading, of any wrongdoing. Shahid was cleared as well through the media because the accuser apparently was mimicking a situation with somebody close to her who she was actually violating in the way that she described. She was attributing her own faults to Shahid. Nick, on the other hand, I've been hearing things for years. And you can see from the incestuous of this, the funny thing is, when you talk about Shahid's smear campaign against Shahid, a lot of the people who were involved with propagating that smear campaign are the same people who are rubbing elbows with Nick Brana and his ilk. So it's, this dude, this guy is a pathological liar from what I can see. A lot of these folks, they just straight up lie to your face. They will. They will. It's so nuts. Okay, let's go.
There have been efforts to buy me out, literally by some of the richest people in the world, offered me jobs. There have been efforts to character assassinate me, DNC members, and eventually this is done to people who challenge the establishment enough. It was done to you. It's been done to so many people. And so there was an effort inside the People's Party as well to do this to me. And it's situated in a larger effort to really turn the People's Party in a more liberal direction that opposes mandates, that is okay with having Democrats run our national committee, our state committees. And in fact, when others express opposition to that, really, this was used to try, these allegations against me have been used to try to take the party in a much more liberal direction as opposed to a populist direction, whereas the majority of the party is solidly populist, and I believe is in favor of coming out against the mandate.
Okay, so no. I don't think they're using these terms properly because Jimmy Dore and Nick Brana conflate populism with libertarianism. It's not. It's not the same thing, and they basically anything that is on the left is liberal to them. So the idea that Nick has written straight up that they are the centrist party, that they're a center party. And all of their talking points are right-wing talking points at this point. So everything coming out of his mouth is a bunch of bullshit. Anybody who's to the left of them, you're not to the left of me, buddy. You're not to the left of these people. You're to the right of us. You are conservative. You are into smear campaigns. You are into conspiracy theories. You are pushing Trump QAnon bullshit of anti-vax, anti-mask nonsense. That's not, QAnon is not populism. Trump is not populism. He literally, when he ran in 2016, he was trying to borrow elements of Bernie's campaign to try and capture that magic in a bottle. That's why he took some of his foreign policy points, his economic points, and he promised a bunch of things that he had no intention of delivering, such as universal health care. And your jobs won't go overseas, right?
So you're saying this is politically motivated by people inside the party. This accusation is over politics. And so what action was taken? So is there some kind of internal process that happens when someone makes an accusation like this?
Absolutely. There was. And so the individual who accused me brought her complaint to the board, and the board convened the Board of the People's Party, the National Coordinator Circle. They convened an investigation. This is our process. Worked with our general counsel on this. That investigation, within a couple weeks, they took testimony from myself, from the individual accusing me. They also interviewed the two of us. They examined the evidence, and within a couple weeks, they had concluded that, in fact, this was politically motivated and that there was no evidence. And later, she even admitted that she had no evidence to back up the claims. And they called it a coup attempt. That, of course, there were a couple of members of the board who were opposed to how I was leading the party and had a more liberal vision, along with contractors who were working with us, had a more liberal vision for the party, as opposed to the populist vision that the majority of the party had and that I had. And that was what motivated these allegations in the first place. And these board members who helped facilitate and help conspire to create these allegations with her, with my accuser, they had expressed a long-standing interest in getting rid of me or replacing me. And so from start to finish, this has been politically motivated. It was supposed to conclude within a week or two. It did.
You know, here's the thing. Even if it was politically motivated, if you have that many people on the board displeased with the chair of the board, I'm assuming that's what his title is, then yeah, you find a new chair of the board. It's bizarre that you're trying to defend the chaos and disruption in this organization rather than say, okay, well, clearly I'm not able to unify this organization. He won't let go. He will not let go. The people that are involved in this organization have serious problems with him for years. People are leaving left and right. People believe that these allegations are credible. And so your closest people to you at the top disagree with your leadership, and yet you're just blowing smoke up their asses at this point. You're not hearing anything that they're saying, and you're just saying, well, they were trying to stage a coup against me. Really? That sounds, okay, dude. Okay, dude. That's right in line with the Jimmy Dore bullshit of, and the convo couch bullshit of Trump really won, and take your ivermectin, and you're not to the left of anybody, dude. You're not to the left of anybody, and if people who are that high level in your own organization all agree that you should not be leading that organization, or at the very least, you should be suspended, reprimanded for your actions against this woman, and get into some sort of counseling training to rectify the situation, then making the news circuit saying everybody's lying about me. They're just trying to take my organization that I made all by myself with and take it away from me. What a I can't even.
Didn't. It was extended when they realized there was no evidence. It was extended over the course of several weeks, over the course of months, and ultimately culminated in an attempt to remove me and other members of the national leadership. And
it should also be noted that this guy he won't do press that isn't friendly press. He will not do press that isn't part of his surrogate network that is loyal to the MPP.
Dozens of delegates from the party, populist delegates for political disagreements with this other group.
So you're saying that you wanted to make a populist party. They had a different idea. They wanted to make it what it sounds like, Democrat light, right, of a party. And they were against certain things. They were for mandates, and they were against things that were at the core principle of the party. And so now I'm reading in the statement that you released, and it says here that the accuser's original complaint had not even used the word sexual harassment. What was the original complaint about then?
That's correct. It was the members of the board who had a political opposition to me who in fact gave it that term, sexual harassment. And later, the allegation was even escalated by her because she changed her story. As members of the committee later told me, every time that they spoke with her, one of them said, quote, "Every time I speak with her, she tells me a different story. Every time I speak with you, you tell me the same." Another member of the committee, a 3-person committee who was brought together to investigate, that concluded that in fact there was no merit to these allegations, found dozens of inconsistencies in her own statements. This is what happens to people who challenge the establishment, who challenge the power authority over enough time.
When I was going through my one of the court cases I had to go through, that it was kind of a lengthy process. I had to write down everything that happened to me, and I had to be familiar with it. But my attorney was really adamant that I should not read it to the point of memorizing it, because normal people remember things at different times. They might correct themselves. They may say, I left this part out. I forgot about this. That's a normal process for people who are actually going by memory. However, if you are rehearsed, you say the exact same story in the exact same way every single time.
This is what inevitably appears to occur because the establishment, we've seen it against so many candidates, so many leaders of movements. The establishment will weaponize any kind of identity or any kind of allegations of sexual harassment against people who are trying to challenge the establishment.
Well, it is a playbook. It definitely is. There's no doubt about it that's a playbook. If you get to look what if you get to the left of the Democratic Party, their playbook is you smear them. You call them alt-right. You call them a white supremacist. You call them racist. You call them a sexist. They did that to, and then you accuse them of a weaponized #MeToo thing, and that's the playbook. That's how it's worked. They did it to Shahid Buttar, that total garbage. They did it in the New York mayor's race. He was accused of groping someone he was dating. So, and then they giggled about it. The people making the accusations giggled about it on television. So this is not uncommon. It happened to me, right? Everybody saw it. Happened to me right out in the open. And so, I mean, they called Bernie a sexist. They called Jill Stein a Russian. I mean, if you get to the left, Joe Rogan endorsed Bernie Sanders. So he's immediately a racist. He's immediately a right winger, and he's never voted for a Republican in his life. So this is the playbook, right? So, and it seems like there isn't any. There's no backing up. Well, it says here. It says that the whistleblowers at the accuser's last place. The person who. What's the name of the person accusing you?
I'm not.
You're not allowed to say
the name now. Not saying the name. I don't want to go into that. But yes.
Okay, so
I know what you're getting at.
It says the whistleblowers at the accuser's last place of employment told us that she had done the same thing at their organization, and she was presently doing with us, accusing board members of sexual harassment and abuse, using it to split the board and demand professional advancement. It also turned out that she was friends and former colleagues with Shahid Buttar's accuser, who had sought to sink his congressional challenge to Nancy Pelosi, and even tried to get us to hire her accused. What? So the person who's accusing you wanted you to hire Shahid Buttar's accuser?
Correct. And you're right that she had done
on.
this at the last organization that she worked at.
So I had heard that before. Get out. That's not. Come on. Now, is there any proof that she tried to get you to hire Shahid Buttar's accuser? Because that would be crazy. But
Yes, we have messages exchanges and conversations. Yes.
Okay. And then so the board members and your general counsel decided that you had to take action to safeguard the party before they attempted to purge the party of populist leaders, delegates, and volunteers. We also knew that we couldn't.
Okay, let me ask you this. If this is at all true, which I highly doubt, if this is at all true, why did he sit on this for... This all broke over the weekend, right? Like, people have been calling me all week. What was he waiting for on this? You know, I did a commentary talking about how Jordan Sheridan was the wrong person to pick up this story because he had similar allegations against him. And even if you take that away and say, okay, well, it was consensual, it was never really consensual because it was a employer subordinate orgy fueled by alcohol. You don't do that with your employees because there is a power dynamic, and it's totally inappropriate to do that to people who actually are expecting to have career advancement with you. But tell you, this entire progressive network of people is so incestuous. So Nick is saying that he knew all these details all along. If that's the case, then why didn't this come forward? Why didn't you say so? Like, why didn't you... Jesus. This is so unbelievable.
Let them continue to abuse volunteers, shift our message and our mission to identity politics. Because that's what it seemed like. To me, that was happening. That certainly seemed like from the outside. That, in fact,
Correct.
I even warned you about it, right? I even warned you
Correct.
about that.
Correct.
I go, hey,
Yeah.
these people aren't on board with your vision. This is not the right fit, and you should clean house. And I told you that a long time ago. Having failed to derail the party away from the populist mission that has galvanized thousands nationwide, we can expect relentless attacks on the party and me. Expect those who were removed to attack on DNC-aligned and billionaire-funded media outlets that have long sought to bring down the People's Party, especially since forced to vote. As long as I'm with the People's Party, we'll never submit to the threats and blackmail. So that's what it is. I mean, that's what, immediately I was like, well, I've warned you this was going to happen. It's going to happen. Here it is. And I saw somebody being interviewed about this on another show. Wasn't your direct accuser, but it was someone who has been accusing me of every horrible thing under the sun. Someone I've never met, never spoke to, don't know who she is.
Who also happens to be a friend of my accuser.
Oh, okay. So and I've tried to tell people When somebody joins a new organization like the People's Party, that has no money and no power, they have no power at all, 100% no power. Democratic Party actually has power, and they have a lot of money. So if I was to join an organization and then it turned out it wasn't what I thought it was and I didn't like it, I would leave and I wouldn't spend another year trying to take down that organization that has no money and no power. That to me sounds like an infiltrator who's somehow getting paid somewhere to.
No, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like members of a cult who are displeased with the way the cult is going, but they believe in the vision and mission of the cult, and they can't let go because it's like leaving a cult. And that's what the two of you have done to this entire group of people. You have brainwashed people for years, and those who are coming out of your trance are a little displeased with the way that you've been operating. You know, you scoff at other people bringing forward what you potentially have done wrong when you yourselves have smeared people up and down. Your attacks have been trollish and horrible to the progressives that we have gotten into Congress. The only successful wins we've had, because you've produced absolutely no wins. And you're a disorganized mess of people. You have that many people on your board who want you gone, or at least coached, reprimanded, and put on suspension. Then be a leader and take your lumps.
Try to divide the left and try anything that, again, any grassroots.
Who chose those board members? Who picked them? Who valued their judgment and decided that they were capable of being on the board and deciding the direction of the organization? Was it you, Nick?
Look what they did to force the vote. Look what they did to the Medicare for All marches, right? And it's always the same people who are glomming on. It's the billionaire funded, like guys like Ryan Grimm from the Intercept, who takes a check from 3 different billion.
Oh, yes. These really rich people are scared of your marches that were intended to fuck over Nina Turner's campaign. Your failed force the vote, which was going to result in McCarthy becoming Speaker of the House. You have bad ideas and people disagree with your ideas.
And then misleads people about forced to vote and Medicare for All and Democratic politics and all that stuff, and probably about this issue too. So that's
right.
That's what you're up against. I knew it was coming. I mean, they did it to Bernie. They had a senator. They didn't have a volunteer. They had a senator accuse Bernie of sexism. That's how desperate the Democratic Party gets when you get to the left of them. So
right.
Are you, for real, you really think the entire Democratic Party got Elizabeth Warren to do something when she was trying to do a Hail Mary pass to try and stay in the presidential race? Are you really implying that all of these campaigns coordinated together, that they all work together to take down a candidate? I mean, I just don't see that as being realistic. I don't think Barack Obama gave a call to Elizabeth Warren and told her to put her reputation on the line by saying something stupid. I do think that he called people and asked them to drop out of the race. I think that happened. Because I think that's a realistic conversation the party has with candidates who are not polling well. Is that, you know, we have to let the person who's polling the best, the person who's getting the most votes, actually get the nomination. Otherwise, we're going to have a problem.
So anything else? So Nick, I advise you to go. This. In a sense, I would try to make lemonade out of this. And, once people get to know you as a 3-dimensional human being, I think that's very helpful to them. And more is going to come. The next thing they're going to do.
Wait. Did you see Nick's eyes when he was saying that? And get to know you as a 3-dimensional human being. I know some of you analyze body language. Let's watch that again. See if I can pull this back just a smidge. That was so weird. That was so weird. Okay, watch his eyes when, watch Nick Brana's eyes when Jimmy Dore calls him a three-dimensional human being.
Once people get to know you as a three-dimensional human being, I think that's very helpful to them. And more is going to come. The next thing they're going to do, Nick, is they'll call you a Russian.
Dude, it's so weird. Not only did he blink hard, but it was like his eyes rolled up or something. That was some really telling behavior. Whoever is like does body analyst type stuff, tell me like what your interpretation is of that. He blinked hard when it was said, and his eyes were like rolling up into his eyelids. It was a very weird robotic expression. Like he was covering an emotion up. Like he was trying not to react to that. But he reacted in a big way by trying to mask it. That was really weird looking.
Mm-hmm. So that's coming. You're going to be Russian. You're going to be a racist. You're going to be something. And
oh yeah, I already get those.
Yeah, and so I got them. I got them just for being associated with the People's Party. So again, but there's lots of things that are suspect. And
two of the main. Can I tell you, Jimmy?
Yeah.
Two of the main objectives that emerged of this more liberal faction inside the People's Party that had positions of power and which my accuser used to split the board and influence in this more liberal direction, along with other contractors at the party. Two of their main objectives were, at the same time, we're currently having a national organizing committee process where delegates from across the country, elected delegates, have come together to form the national charter of the People's Party National Committee. So we're deliberating the rules of the National Committee. There was a provision that was advocated for and made it in and was inserted into the draft of the charter that would have allowed, if it had not been changed, for Democrats, registered Democrats, to control the state committees in 40 states. Every seat in 40 states, registered Democrats, while we're facing, of course, as a new party, massive attempts of infiltration. There's a history of infiltration of new parties. Ralph Nader talks about it. And it would have allowed Democrats to hold a super majority on our national committee. And that was outrageous to the majority of the populist delegates who voted it down resoundingly.
So, you know what? I just remembered they even did this to Cenk Uygur. So when Cenk Uygur ran for Congress, they were smearing him left and right as a sexist. Do you remember that in the LA Times headline? And Bernie Sanders had to withdraw his endorsement of Cenk Uygur. Do you remember this? This happened to Cenk Uygur. Yeah. And then Cenk Uygur turned around and...
Wait, hold up, Jimmy. I thought you were like eating crow's pie when that happened. Weren't you like all excited? From what I remember, weren't you like all excited that Cenk was... that he was getting his comeuppance from his old blogs and from his tweets and stuff. And it was nothing new because he had already had to step down from Justice Democrats for that the organization that Jimmy's constantly tearing apart Justice Democrats. Cenk had to step down from Justice Democrats when that emerged because of Jordan Chariton, right? Jordan Chariton was going through his own allegations. It's so funny how this all circles. This all fucking circles. So Jordan Sheridan gets accused, and then Cenk fires him from the Young Turks in an abundance of caution. And some other media source reported on it too. I can't remember who it was. Then Jordan starts releasing all of these old blogs from Cenk Uygur and the tweets and stuff. And so Cenk ends up having to step down from Justice Democrats and separate himself. And then Jordan won a settlement. Well, I mean, it's not really winning. When you settle, it's like, we don't want to deal with this anymore, right? So he got some level of settlement, and he feels like that's vindication. That's not vindication. That just means that they didn't want to deal with it. It wasn't as big. They just wanted you to go away. They just wanted you to go away, and they didn't want to deal with it. Probably because everybody who accused him didn't have attorneys. They didn't have legal representation, and they had no money to do it. So, the Young Turks is not in the business of becoming the class action lawyer. They didn't want to have to pay for an investigation. It was not that big of a deal to them. And this is how a lot of dudes at the top feel about women's accusations. It's a shame that Jimmy and Nick keep dragging Shahid's name into this, because I'm sure that that's not what he wants right now. I'm sure he wants to stay the fuck away from all this bullshit. Shahid's been running as a Democrat, so I don't know why you keep dragging the poor dude into this. Oh, wow. These two knuckleheads. Oh, my God, even.
Did it to Jordan Sheridan. He accused him of rape, he didn't do it, but he was falsely accused of rape, and he got fired. He lost his job over it. Remember that? Remember when that happened? It was so ironic.
No, it was the accusation was that he performed cunnilingus and did not get consent to do it, and there was alcohol. It was an orgy situation. There were multiple people doing sexual things in the same room, and the accuser states that she was under the influence while. Gosh, I wish that I could turn that off so I could do a proper commentary. I wonder if I could trim that. The accuser said that she was intoxicated and she was uncomfortable, and this is somebody who, was higher level than her, and she felt bad, had a conversation with him the next day in the lobby of the hotel or whatever, and was said that she wasn't comfortable with the situation. So basically anybody who printed a story about it, Jordan sued. And I think he was partially able to leverage that the initial people who broke the story were not exactly journalists, and they didn't do their due diligence of actually reporting the story properly. They took it, ran with it like they were a gossipy friend, rather than having an unbiased journalist cover the information. And so that made it hard to litigate. It made it hard to actually pursue and fix for these people who were the accusers. And like I said, they didn't have money for a legal defense. They couldn't pursue it. So no, I don't have love for Jordan Sheridan, but I'm not going to discount the story that he reported just because I dislike what he did in 2017, or what was revealed in 2017. It was 2017. But these fellas are pulling this bullshit in like it matters to Nick. What I'm taking away from this is that all of you motherfuckers are looking for excuses to be shitty to women. All of you are. You're all just willing to lie to the high heavens if you find out that you crossed the line with a woman, that you did something that made her uncomfortable, that you did something that was unwelcome and unwanted, that you will come up with every fucking excuse in the book for doing this shit to us. And not just women. It happens to all genders, but it mostly happens to women and trans women.
It happened the other way. It happened to Jordan first, and then it happened to Cenk. I can't remember which way, because I remember saying to...
oh, that's some bullshit. You remember exactly the order it happened in, just like I do. Because it was a big deal when it went down, and it was Jordan retaliating against Cenk for firing him. Don't tell me you don't remember how that went down. You're a media guy, and you know the background on the people that are also media guys in your neck of the woods.
Them, I go, hey, if you let this garbage happen to Jordan, it can happen to anybody here, as really anybody here. And they knew it, but apparently Cenk had a special boner for for Jordan, and but Jordan was out of a job.
He had a special boner. He fired him. What are you even talking about? He fired him. He had a special boner for him. He did what he thought was appropriate as a boss.
That was that. He was
and you would think
he had sex with a woman, and the woman accused him of rape, and that she was employed by him, right? And so I mean, so this happens, goes around. I mean,
you know that that's not what happened, dude. You know, you looked this up. You know, you were living it for a couple of months because you were still part of TYT at the time. You know that's not what the story was. It was a story of how he went down on her, performed cunnilingus, and she was uncomfortable with it, and she was subordinate to him. Fuck's sake, you guys.
this is not a new. This is
and you would think
go ahead.
that would have made Jordan more objective or more critical when he hears such a story. But Jordan has been the primary one attacking.
Said yesterday that Nick Brana, the chair of MPP, was under investigation. I had that confirmed yesterday. I didn't have enough to really get into what it was that he was under investigation for. So I spent most of yesterday and all the way till 10 o'clock last night talking to sources investigating that. And I learned that Nick Brana, who is the national chair of MPP, Movement for a People's Party, has been under investigation since December for alleged sexual harassment. I am basically just going to read from the story because this story is more than just the accusation of sexual harassment. There's also other allegations that, I don't know if they're harassment or more than harassment. But to be clear, I reached out to Nick Brana. He didn't respond, so he has had all day to respond. I'd love to, update the story with his response if he denies the allegations. As somebody who has been on the receiving end of this false accusations against me, I take it very seriously. Obviously, you want to be judicious and fair and give anyone being accused all the time in the world to respond. But I also meticulously went through this, and the facts speak for themselves. So let's get into those facts.
I look forward to speaking with him in the next day or two.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
Well, good. Oh, good luck.
I'm sure since he's brought on a couple people who have really only tangential knowledge of any of this, I'm sure he'll be happy to bring someone on who actually has direct knowledge of it.
All right. Well, I look forward to that. I'm sure I hope that happens. I hope you have a nice interview over there.
Jimmy.
Well, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
So, how many members are on the board, and how many members were removed?
Currently, there are 5, and 5 were removed.
So there were 10, and so it sounds
there
like
were 11.
So there were 11. So you got rid of little less than half the board,
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So how does that happen? Who has the power to do that?
Well, what happened is actually referred to. We had a majority, as I said. We had 11 out of.
So you had 6 out of 11.
Had 5.
So
exactly.
Okay.
And what happened is that we discovered, or certain other members of the board raised to me with serious alarm and to our general counsel when they discovered that there was a plan to, in fact, remove me and remove other members of the board and remove delegates, the delegates who had specifically opposed them in this provision that I described earlier that would have allowed Democrats to overrun and control our state and national committees. So they wanted to remove them, remove me, remove populist leaders from states across the country in the National Organizing Committee. And the other thing that had really set them off and really upset them and really set their sights on removing me and these other populist leaders across the party and delegates to the National Organizing Committee was our support of against a membership vote on whether the party should come out against COVID vaccine mandates. So they were very opposed to that. I proposed bringing it to the membership, saying this is the People's Party. It is outrageous, the idea that we wouldn't allow our members to decide an issue that is the issue that is essentially the number one populist issue in the world right now. There's the largest populist movement in the world right now is on this issue. Right now, there's essentially a revolution happening in Canada around this issue, and many other countries revolting around it. You talked earlier, Max.
Well, I mean, listen to that, y'all. Listen to that, y'all. He is pointing to conservative protests and calling that populism. He's pointing to some of the most right-wing bullshit ever and calling that populism. That's wow. That's and he's saying that's that being anti-mask, anti-vax, because there are no mandates in America, Nick. There are no mandates in America. You can do whatever the hell you want. You might not be able to go to certain businesses because they have the right to refuse service. No shirt, no shoes, no mask, no service. They have the right to do that. You might not be able to go to school. But you know what? We've had vaccine requirements for as long as I've been alive. I'm probably slightly older than you or right around your age. No, QAnon bullshit is not populism.
Blumenthal about what it's being used to usher in a social credit system. So we wanted to put that to the membership, and they were highly opposed to that. And it was another reason that they tried to remove me. And so that's why I'm happy to share tonight and announce tonight that, in fact, the People's Party will be going ahead with that membership vote, and members will be heard, and they will have the chance to express themselves. And this party is going to be doing what the membership decides in terms of taking the position against or for or staying out of it for COVID vaccine mandates. And I have a strong suspicion that our members are going to be against these mandates and everything they're ushering in.
Okay.
How many people are going to be purged from the People's Party if they vote against your shit? How many people are you going to purge? Are you going to be like, they're going to get kicked out of the Slack channel? Is that what's going to happen? Ooh, I can't wait for the fallout from this vote, you guys.
So again, I stated this, your party is in its infancy. The deck is stacked way against you getting anything done. Have you had any successes against these odds? What can you name any?
Yeah, last year we got on the ballot in Florida. This year we got on the ballot in Virginia. We also you can register as an official People's Party member in many different states. In California, I believe you're registered as a member of the People's Party.
You can register as in the People's Party here in California.
Right.
So that would be, and people don't know how hard that is to get on the ballot. I mean, that's the big part. That's what the two-party system does. They block you from getting on the ballot, and then if you actually do manage to get on a ballot, they're going to take you to court. And then they want to keep you tied up in court. And so when Ralph Nader ran, he was spending all of his money instead of campaigning. He was spending it on lawyers fighting for ballot access. And so that's how they get you. And so people make a big deal. Is your father the treasurer of the People's Party?
He is, yes.
And people say that's a problem. What do you say to that?
I say, haven't we had enough problems with infiltration and disruption that we want somebody who we can trust?
Oh, right, because nepotism isn't a problem in an organization. Nepotism isn't a problem. Oh, I can't even. Okay, so we've been listening to him say, no, I didn't sexual harass anybody. No, it's not a problem that my dad runs the books. And Jimmy is just like, oh yeah, this is totally fucking normal. Well, probably because like he does business with his wife with the crazy cackle, right?
In that position. And also, to anybody who has a problem with that, we are legally required to report all donations and expenditures over $200 to the IRS. And so feel free to go look it up. We even put it on our website. You can find it anywhere. So anyone who has a problem with that, go dig through the financial records yourself.
Okay, yeah. So you're saying who you paid money to. Are you saying for what? Are you telling us why you spent $20,000 on a logo that you never got or you're not using? Or are you saying why you're paying these people? I think that's the transparency they're looking for, is not just the I paid such and such to this company or they donated such and such to me. People are wanting to know for what? What were you doing? What are you trying to accomplish? And why are you not a real party yet? You started this in 2017.
Okay. And those are available, right? Where can people find those financial records?
Available to all. They can go to the IRS, or they can go to our transparency page. Go to peoplesparty.org. Under the About tab, you'll find transparency, and there you'll find a link to the IRS. So have at it.
Okay. All right, Nick. Well, good luck with this unbelievably big task you've put on your shoulders of trying to build a third party in a country that most of the people have. First of all, half the people want one. Over.
How much are you paying Jimmy Dore, by the way? I'd like to know that. How much are you paying him to be one of your celebrity advisors? Because, a lot of these board positions come with compensation. So are you paying this jackass to give you free press?
Over half the people want a third party that's viable. But for some reason, the other half of the people who vote all the time think it can't be possible. Like they go, well, you can't vote for a third party until there's a lot of people already voting for a third party. Well, you have to start somewhere. Right? You can't wait for someone else to get. So you got to do it. So I've been telling people that it's time that if you're a Republican or if you usually vote Democrat or Republican, it's time to withhold your vote from those parties. It's time to do it, and that's what gives you real power. And they're never going to come around to your way of thinking until you show them that you're willing to withhold your vote for them. And that's not me talking. That's Lawrence O'Donnell talking. He used to be chief of staff for the guy who ran the Senate. So they know. That everybody knows that that's the thing. And they can't have people vote outside the two-party system. The biggest voting bloc in America is the 100 million people who don't vote. The next biggest voting bloc of people are people who consider themselves independents, right? So you think there'd be a chance for a third party in America because most people want it, and most people aren't represented by those two parties. But again,
well, what's really odd is that if you really want to activate those groups, why do you keep telling them it's hopeless? That there's no way that their vote is really going to matter, because you're telling them that either their vote is not going to count because our elections are so fucking rigged, right? Which, even if there are some mistakes in our election process, which are like really, really small percentage, like point something, if you have a larger turnout, you have a bigger margin, and that would accomplish it. But instead, you're scaring people and you're telling them that their vote won't matter, and that, give up on everything, give up on every idea, because it's not going to matter, right? That is the message you've been giving us the whole time.
The deck is stacked against them. So good luck to you, buddy. And I look forward to them calling you a Russian.
We get it already, but I guess that'll be the next focus. But I want to say that in the big picture, we have an opportunity going into 2024 to, as a populist movement, really come together. This issue of opposing mandates is one of the things that really brings together the left and right. I was at the mandate protest in DC. It's an incredible coming together of left and right. There is an opportunity, because the traditional political lines are breaking down, an opportunity to really put forward a populist presidential candidate in 2024 and make a serious challenge to this establishment. Joe Rogan is getting way more views and downloads than the establishment media. And at the same time, like you brought up, there's 2/3 of Americans who want a major new party, half the country who's independent. Joe Biden has record low approval ratings, and people have never recovered essentially from the last two economic depressions. So there's a serious opportunity, and it's incumbent upon us to do this outside of the established. Not going to happen in
The serious opportunity he refers to is his opportunity to thrive on that pain and grift. Do his fundraising grift.
the Democratic Party, not going to happen in the Republican Party. They'll shut you down in the primaries like we saw with Bernie. So it has to happen outside, and it should happen in tandem.
Dude has on his resume that he was a Bernie staffer. He was an unpaid intern, and there was an accounting error.
With action, as we believe in the People's Party, but it really is up to us to get our act together as a populist movement, left and right, come together, set aside what differences we have, and really take down this oligarchy that is crushing us.
I'm with you. Good luck, 100%.
Wow. All right.